Welcome back to Boost in Motion, everybody. And today, this is a great day for the Q50 Q60 community. This is for the VR30 motor. AMS has finally released their highly waited, we waited forever for their intake system for the Q50 and Q60. Now, I'm going to put up a few pictures and I'm going to talk about their dyno results. So let's just get right into it. First, if you go look at this first dyno, it shows this is pretty much a stock Redsport. From what they're talking about in the link below, I'm going to link you to the video on their page or their YouTube, whatever the case might be. They talk about pretty much what the curve is. Pretty much peak horsepower is how much does the car make peak wheel horsepower through the RPM range. But what we're actually more worried about when it comes to tuning and putting on performance parts is what's below the curve. What happens under 6,500 RPM? Are there any parts where they gained any horsepower? Well, wheel horsepower in this case. So looking at the Redsport graph, you can see that there's definitely a loss of wheel horsepower stock below the 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range. But above 4,500 and up, there is an increase in wheel horsepower, possibly up to about 15 to 17 wheel horsepower on a stock map. So pretty much what I can say about this is daily driving, you might lose a bit of low-end torque and or wheel horsepower. Most of us drive our cars under 3,500 RPM. So in that case, this may be an issue for some of y'all because you're technically losing that little bit of, butt dyno, like I would like to say. But when it comes to roll racing, or if you like to spend most of your time 3,500 and up, you will have an increase of wheel horsepower, but that's really above 5,000 RPM. Not a lot of you guys are going to want to stay up there that long, that often. But all in all, I still think on a stock map, it seems like it could be decently worth it if you guys want to get an intake compared to the other intakes that CZP, whatever performance, did a comparison of other hot air intakes, I would call it, on the market. Now, when it comes down to tuning, like let's say if you want to do ECU tech or up rev, or even JB4, I would recommend possibly getting this intake. Reason being is, looking at the dyno results for the tuned version, it seems like there's an increase of power across the whole spectrum from bottom to top. Now, that's actually really good. I do like that increase, but I like to throw this out here, guys. If you're ECU tech tuned or up rev tuned, your tuner could pretty much tune your car to make this a little bit extra power, pretty much. Like, there's really not, like, could be a difference of maybe 1 to 2 PSI, maybe 1 to 2 PSI increase across the map. So your tuner could probably just tune the car to perform just that much more better with the stock air intakes. But I would recommend that, people might laugh at me, but in the JB world, in the BMW world, what they do is they tune the cars and they stack a JB on top of it, just in case they want to get a little bit of extra power under this whatever map that they're running on their BMWs. So some of you guys might sit there and say, what are you talking about? What are you saying? Well, let's just say you got an ECU tech tune on Redsport at 18 PSI, right? You can stack your JB on top of that. It runs off the tune that you already had. And you can also put +2, let's say 2, 3, 4, up to 9 PSI over that. Of course, you're not going to go that high. But let's say you want to just add a little bit more power. Let's say 2 PSI over your stock tuned map. Based on that, you can data log and just see if all the parameters are right. But if all the parameters are good, that means that you could probably increase your power maybe another 20 to 30 wheel horsepower just with a JB4 on top of a stock tune. I mean, an ECU tech tune. So why am I bringing up the JB4? I'm not trying to endorse them, but for the price of a JB4 compared to a $500 intake, I see that pretty much the cost when it comes to price per dollar, it just makes sense. Now, for the regular JB4 guys or stock tune guys, the reason why I say this might be a good thing is because under the stock map you looked at, there are gains in the higher RPM range. The reason being is the turbos are at its max efficiency, which means that the stock air intake definitely is possibly a slight restriction at higher RPM. So with this air intake, it should allow a better flow at this higher RPM on the stock map. And on a tune map, it should definitely allow it to even be more efficient because you're running a higher PSI, higher PSI on the JB4 or the stock map. So, though all in all, this product should be, if you want to buy intake, I would recommend the AMS, just looking at the dyno results. I know it's just their dyno. Of course, a few people are going to test it out to make sure if AMS is finagling the numbers and everything. But all in all, I think this is actually the best air intake for the VR30 twin turbo motor for the Q50 and Q60 model. So I would recommend this product if you choose to buy intakes, but I like to throw the JB4 thing in there just in case, because the only reason why I do this, because if you're ECU tech tuned, you can either just tell your tuner to just give you more of an aggressive map, which would pretty much give you the difference of this, or this small little difference, or run a JB4, which is almost a little bit more expensive than the air intakes, a bit more expensive. But if you look at the price range, you'll be like, I could literally run more boost on the tune map that I have and make more wheel horsepower. And still, as long as the parameters are safe when you data log it, it just makes more sense. All right. So this is a boost in motion. Just letting you know, these air intakes are out. I'm not trying to put down this company. I think they're doing great things, a great job, and I like their craftsmanship. And they're pretty much gonna have the best air intake on the market right now. But I like to look at things on price invested into something per horsepower. And all in all, they're doing a great job, but there's other ways for the tuner to work her way around getting more wheel horsepower. And when it comes to a JB4, you can also get that extended a little bit more wheel horsepower with the same amount of money invested. So thanks again, guys. If you liked the video, send a like. If you dislike the video, I understand. If you want to comment, I do appreciate it. We can discuss it in the comments. But subscribe. Thank you, guys. You have a great day.